Welcome back to the DTC Slingshot Podcast. I'm your host, Lockie Thompson, and I'm also the founder of Social Slingshot, a paid advertising agency. This podcast is your go-to resource for entrepreneurs seeking insights from industry leaders and experts. If you have magically stumbled across this podcast, then I'm truly grateful that you've chosen to listen. If you have any specific questions or topics you'd like us to cover, then don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram at Lockie Social Slingshot. While this podcast is tailored to the broader e-commerce community, if you are ever in need of direct marketing assistance, then Social Slingshot is here to help. Our mission is to drive as much success for as many e-commerce brands as possible by being the most results-driven and client-focused agency on the market. Now, with all that boring admin stuff taken care of, let's jump into today's episode. G'day guys, welcome back to the DTC Slingshot Podcast. Today I'm joined with David Wachs, the founder of Cellit and also Handwritten. Do you just want to give yourself a quick introduction, a background story, and what you're up to these days?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. So my background, I've been in the e-com tech space for 20 years. I started in 2004 with a company called Cellit, and we helped large brands like Abercrombie & Fitch, Toys R Us, Office Max send text messages at scale. So we would do over 1 million texts a day for these brands. I sold that company. Had to work for the new owners for 2 years. And in that time, I was thinking, what do I do next? And I also saw what was happening with electronic communication, and everybody's getting 200 emails a day and tweets and texts and everything else. And I realized I was part of the problem. So I thought, what really stands out are old-fashioned handwritten notes. So I started designing a system for that. And now we're the largest provider of automated handwritten notes in the world. We have about 200 robots here in the States. We also do have some in Australia, and as we were talking before the show, and that's kind of a separate thing, but hopefully we'll put that under the Handwritten banner. And we do a lot less than 1 million a day like we did at Cellit. We do about 20,000 a day at Handwritten, but it's a different product and it has its own unique benefits. And so we've been doing this for 10 years now. We just crossed our 10-year mark, and we work with nonprofits, realtors, along with a bunch of e-com brands. And for e-com, we integrate directly with their Shopify store. You can download our plugin from the marketplace. We also integrate with Salesforce and Marketing Cloud and HubSpot and a number of other systems I'm happy to talk about. But that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Yeah, cool. Do you just want to dive a bit deeper into actually handwritten? Like, what are you actually doing? Are you sending out physical cards, or is it just like something that you've written down once and then you sort of change the name with AI, or what's actually behind it?
Yeah, so we have these robots can write in about 35 different handwriting styles, along with several hundred custom styles that are unique to people. So you could create your own style with us, and then we'd have your handwriting on, on file for your notes. And it's more than a font. I wouldn't call it AI. There are elements that are AI, but it's more of an art, a combination of art and technology. So it is unique. How do two L's connect? How do two T's connect? Do you cross two T's with one crossbar or two? Do you loop your two O's together? All those little things are taken into account, and along with character variation, line spacing variation, left margin kind of goes in and out a little bit, so it's not a hard line on the left of the page. And now we kind of bend the text. That part's AI, the text bending. We do that now too. The notes can all be very different. So, dear Jim, thanks for your purchase of the Trek bicycle. We hope you enjoy your ride, or whatever that might be. Every single note could be 100% different, and there's no minimum quantity. So our clients can go on and purchase one card or 1,000 or 10,000, whatever they want to do. And then we run our own digital print shop, so we can print out a beautiful card on thick paper or thick cardstock, cut that card to size so it's a full bleed card, and then write on that with our robots, all within one business day. So that's really what we do.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. So I imagine you have a big warehouse with lots of machines in there since you're doing about 20,000 a day. You just want to
Yep.
talk a little bit about that setup and like how you actually got into this business as well. Because as far as I know, nobody else is really doing it.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few. There's companies in, there's one company I know of in Canada. I've actually met with the firms in France and Germany doing it. And then there's a small handful in the States. We're the first. We're not the first. We're the oldest. The first company went out of business. Yeah, I mean, we build our robots ourselves. We have 3D printers and laser cutters, and we build our own circuit boards, program everything. I actually programmed the writing on the robot, and we just put those robots on shelves in our facility. And what's nice is because we build them ourselves, we've reduced the cost to scale. So every time we need more capacity, we just build another robot, and that's kind of what we do. On top of the robots, we've got a number of other systems, quality assurance. So we actually have cameras over every robot now that ensure that the vectors of what was supposed to be written match up to actually what was written, so that we can, detect issues with a pen or whatever automatically. We have automatic stuffing machines and stamping machines and invisible marking machines. So there's a lot of other technology that goes into this. One of the big things we're rolling out now, and I'm sure it'll be live by the time this podcast goes live, is QR codes that are unique to the recipient. So if I send out 10,000 notes, each with a QR code, I'll know when you scan it because your QR code will be different than your neighbor's. So that, believe it or not, takes a lot of work because we got to follow that QR code through the entire process. And it's a lot more complicated than it sounds, but that's rolling out now. Yeah, there's just a ton of technology in this, way more than I thought when I started it.
Yeah, so yeah, it sounds like there's absolutely so much work involved. Why didn't you just go down the route of hiring some staff and getting them to write it down? Obviously, it's a little bit cheaper as well, but maybe there's like quality assurance and stuff like
Yeah.
that all those things you need to think about. Was there any issues in the start with these robots that you ran into?
Yeah. So when we started, I used an off the shelf handwriting machine made in Virginia, and it it was fine. The quality was not great. There's not enough variation. It was almost as if every character was in its own little box, kind of like a typewriter. And the bigger issue was the company that provided them was very inflexible. And every time I needed a change or more robots, they charged me a fortune for these things. And so I just said, we're going to have to build our own. And it took several years, but and one false start. But eventually we came out with the first version about 6 years ago. And since then, it's just been iteration. Most of the iteration has been on the paper feed, not the writing. Feeding paper at scale is actually hard, especially envelopes, because envelopes are poofy and one side is a little thicker than the other because of the flap that folds over. You might not notice it with one envelope, but if you stack 1,000 tall, that stack's going to really lean. So there's just a lot of work that's gone into that. And then it's very different sending one order through versus 10,000, just tracking it through every stage in the process. Why did I use robots and not people? Because quality, the first note of and there are companies that use people. There's a company called Letterfriend. The first note will look good, but will the 10th note, will the 100th? People take coffee breaks and go to sleep. Robots don't. So we're able to keep them running 24/7. Yeah, and I'm a tech guy. I'm not a people person, as my employees will tell you. So that's kind of the thought behind it.
Yeah, for sure. And being able to grow Handwritten to an Inc. 500 company, and you say you're not a people person, what does your team look like? Or what is, because a lot of the people that I talk to who have grown really big, one of the most important things they say is the people. So if
Yeah,
you're not
no,
a
it is. I was
people
joking.
person, how have you
No,
worked around that?
I was joking. I've got about 48 people here, combination of a very smart head of engineering that's helping design the next robot, and very smart head of operations that runs the robots in the facility. But throughout the entire company, I can't really think of any weak links from sales to HR, finance, and the rest. We've been very fortunate, but it's not easy. At least in the States, there's a lot of entitlement where people think they deserve more than they do and don't want to work for anything. I think it might be a generational thing, but now that we have a really strong team now, drama free. At least that's what I see. I don't know. Maybe down lower in the ranks, they see a
Yeah,
lot of drama,
they're all
but
they're all hiding it behind your back, mate.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But it's been good. It's people are absolutely the most important. And actually, when I sold Cellit, the last company, people would say, "Well, what was the most rewarding part of that company?" And quite frankly, and I never. It was a surprise to me, but developing people is the most rewarding part of my job. So, um, at the last company, there was a woman named Angie, and prior to working at Cellit, she was a yoga instructor. She came to the company and she became just a star of a account manager. We turned her from a hippy dippy hippie into this amazing account manager that every client loved. And and then when that company sold, I handed her a big check, and she started crying and thanked me for allowing her to um, really grow into a role. And then she went on and started her own yoga. Now she's back in yoga. She has her own yoga studio. So, and I'm thrilled for her. So that has been a very rewarding part of the business. Same thing with another account manager, Alyssa. Took her from kind of just a very chatty Cathy personality and turned her into a amazing account manager. My One of my programmers at the old company, my star programmer, is now the CTO for Cameo. If you know Cameo,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big company in the States.
Yeah,
So
I've,
it's
I've
super,
used it
super
a few
cool.
times.
Yeah, so it's super, super cool to see that. And I like to think I played some part in his development. So yeah, I'm very fortunate on that regard. And people, where I'd say this company is different than Sell It, we have a lot of envelope stuffers currently. We're getting rid of that as we move to automation. And we have a lot of people that work the robots. And so kind of these more lower
Mm-hmm.
end positions. And that's been very different. I really enjoy it. I think they really love their jobs, and we've been able to impact their life for the better, provide them a clean, safe work environment and respect them and provide them tickets to sports games and all the other perks of working at Handwritten. So that's been great too. So I mean, overall, we're just very fortunate.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like you've had a huge impact on your employees, and it's so awesome to hear that. I've worked in a factory type of setup, and I think the workers fought for like a 25-cent pay raise after 2 years or something. That was like the
Yeah,
most depressing job I've ever had working in an air conditioning factory.
yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah. Now you've built these people up. Now tell me a bit about the brands that you've built up as well. You work with a lot of different niches and possibly some use cases as well. Like how are people actually using this within their businesses?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we pretty much can't name any clients because no client wants to be known as sending less than authentic handwritten notes. But I can
Yep.
tell you, we work with some of the largest fashion brands in the world, large department store chains, um, car dealerships, car manufacturers, a veterinarian company that helps you put your pet down when it's time, when that unfortunate event happens. That's actually one of our largest clients. So we work in a number of areas. And as far as use cases, the number one use case is thank you. And I get very passionate about the topic of thank you, because what happens is people say, what's the ROI of a thank you? And I think you're out to lunch if you ask that question. I mean, if you sell somebody a car and you don't want to turn around and send them a thank you because it's the right thing to do, I don't know what to say to you. But that said, there are other use cases. But we have research that shows that if consumers feel appreciated by brands, you can download this research on our website, handwrytten.com. If people feel appreciated by brands, they buy more frequently, they refer more, they buy higher ticket items. I mean, all the things, right? Like all the things you'd want, they do. So it's really just about making your customers feel appreciated. And we're able to help you do that at scale. We also help with win back. So, for example, we work with a snack company. They ship snacks to your office. And if they have an issue, or the client has an issue with the snack box, whether it got damaged, it didn't get delivered on time, it was the wrong snacks, they'll send a apology note along with some additional swag. And what they find is those customers that had that win back actually have a higher LTV than those customers that were never had an issue in the first place. So then what they do is they just send all customers a bad experience and then follow it up with a win back and raise all tides. So we have that. We have a piano tuner in the States. He is in your house once a year to tune your piano. And then that's all your piano needs is one tune a year. And a year later, after tuning your piano, he sends you a thank you note. A year later, when he enters your house, he says, very often that handwritten note is still standing up on the piano. So not only was it open, not only was it read, it's on the most expensive piece of furniture in your house, on display on the most expensive piece of furniture in the fanciest room of your house. And there is no other marketing that can say that. You cannot buy that real estate, right? So handwritten notes are really unique from that. And the durability of it, meaning every day when you go to play your piano, you're going to see that note for a year. That's very durable marketing, and it's exciting to see. But that's kind of it. Birthday cards, Christmas cards, just trying to stay top of mind is very, very important for our clients.
Yeah, for sure. And what are some of the unexpected use cases that you've come across?
Unexpected use cases. Well, we have a guy that sends very, very vulgar thank you cards or birthday cards to his clients, like not naked, but he's naked, but he puts something silly in front of himself in every picture. We have somebody doing that. We have a pet food company that inserts with their handwritten notes hats, and then on your pet's birthday, you're supposed to put the hat on the pet and take a picture and post it to social media. So it's good for them from a kind of a viral aspect. We have clients that send magnets and that type of thing. We have a woman who uses us to recreate her children's handwriting style every few years. So she's very wealthy because it's a very expensive undertaking. But, when they turn 5, she had us copy their handwriting. When they turn 7, so she's able to actually go back in time and look at their handwriting, which is quite interesting. So that was a really interesting one. And then we work with some celebrities that you wouldn't think are big in sending handwritten notes, but they love our service and use our iPhone app to send notes to people.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what about with Shopify? So I'm aware that you have a direct integration. How can e-commerce brands use your service?
Yeah. So first of all, it's always better if you go to handwritten.com first and set up your account, because within Handwritten, you can create your own custom cards. So they're logoed or they have a picture of your product on them, and maybe a QR code. And then on top of that, you can sign up for a plan so that you're not paying one-off that you might be doing through Shopify. Then you go to Shopify and you install our app from the Shopify marketplace. And that app lets you set up rules. So after the customer makes their first order, you can send a handwritten note. After their X order, so their 5th order, 10th order, 20th, whatever, after they spend a certain amount of money, after they buy a specific product, we're currently coming out with abandoned shopping cart. So if a client abandons their shopping cart, you can send a handwritten note to them as well. And you just very quickly and easily set up those rules in Shopify. It's designed to be, idiot proof. Very, very simple system.
Yeah, I know some of my clients still write their handwritten notes with the small teams that they have, and it's very effective. Like, I purchase from them and I still, like, I know exactly what they're doing. Like, it's not really personalized. It's like something generic, but it's still like handwritten. They've taken the time and effort and it really does stand out. So with the e-commerce brands, like that abandoned like cart one, I'd be super keen to see that, because I can see, like, if that turned up in my mailbox from a brand that I was shopping with, but maybe I went to a competitor or something, and then 2 months later it's popping up in my mailbox. I'm going to be like, oh, what the hell? I'm going to remember them forever, because nobody's doing that.
Yeah, and another thing we're doing, maybe getting back to your unique use cases, what we're finding is online brands actually can create a more personal experience with their customers than offline. What do I mean by that? If we work with a perfume brand, and if you go into a department store in the States, you'll see that perfume brand there. But if you go online and buy it, you'll get a handwritten note from us. If you do it in the store clerk is supposed to send you a handwritten note, but they're too busy. And they've got clients to work with and merchandising and bookkeeping and all the rest. Now what we're doing with another luxury brand, not the perfume, we actually send automated handwritten notes from all store purchases and from all online purchases. So we kind of bridge the gap and allow store brands or brick and mortar rather, to stay as personal as online. It's kind of ironic it's gone that way, but it's a tremendous way to kind of improve the customer experience across the pipeline.
Yeah, I first started out with just a thank you over the counter, and then it moved to thank you through text message or email, and then, like you said earlier, it is very spammy. Like, I don't open my emails at all these days, and then when I get a text, it's usually just a sale from a brand. It's nothing personal. It's just like, buy my shit. So
yeah, I think you're hitting upon something. It's different to be thanked and to feel thanked. So if I send you a text message, I've technically thanked you, but it's automated, and it didn't cost anything or take any effort. It's just, okay, whoop-de-doo. Now I have one more text on my phone. Versus if you get a handwritten note from us and it looks authentic, you'll think somebody really took some time to thank you and appreciate you. Even if it's written by a robot, which, if we ever get to the point where you're receiving 10 of these a day, maybe you will, at least that brand tried to do something to make you feel appreciated, versus sending you an email, sending you a text, whatever. It's just going that extra distance to try to show that you appreciate somebody. People really, they resonate with that.
Yeah, and I don't think most consumers would even realize that somebody didn't actually sit there and write with a pen.
100%.
Yeah, because like you see, like brand founders, they'll send out a automated email that's supposed to look like it's personalized and stuff like that, and they just have the dynamic field where it changes the name. And I talk to my friends, and they're like, that's automated, right? I'm like, oh, I had no idea. So yeah, like it's just a funny world we live in, where us marketers know what's going on in the background, but the consumer, to them, on face value, they'll be like, oh my God, this is best thing ever, right?
Yeah. But if you receive that email a second after placing the order, okay, you're thanked, I guess, but it's just an automated message. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
With your handwritten notes, how do people actually customize them? Do you have dynamic fields, or do I have to sit there on the computer and type each one out, and then the robot does it for me, or how does that process work?
Yeah, I mean, if you use our integration, whether it's Shopify or Salesforce, whatever, you can set up dynamic fields. If you're on our website, you can bulk upload spreadsheets, and we've got tools for those spreadsheets to make it very easy to include as many, technically up to 7 dynamic fields in the note, just because Excel kind of, the formula gets very complicated. But who needs more than 7 in a 500 character message? So so that's kind of how it works. Is you can bulk upload spreadsheets to do that and make it quite simple. And every single note could be different, or every single note could be templated, or every single note can be the exact same. It's really up to the user.
Yeah, awesome. Now, with obviously the advancements in AI, what are some other things that you're working on, or maybe some things you see coming out in the next year or two?
Well, we've already integrated ChatGPT. We were early integrators of that because it just makes sense. Send Jimmy a apology letter for running over his cat, and then bloop, it just writes the apology letter. So we have that on our website. We have our card designer where you can go in and design a card, but perhaps we include some sort of stability AI, image generation or something, stable diffusion type thing. So we're looking at that. The QR codes are coming. It's honestly, it's just more of the same. There's not too much crazy going on.
Yeah, not too much more you can do with a handwritten note.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've already got a lot of it figured out because you've been around for so long.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's figured out, but we've got a path forward, and we know what we need to do to kind of execute on that plan.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, you're a very successful entrepreneur. Just before we wrap up today, what's a piece of advice you would give to somebody who's up and coming?
Yeah, a few things. Number one, always get in over your head. That I was fortunate in college to be on the speaker committee. We used to bring lectures to campus, and we brought Conan O'Brien when he was a young uh, late show host. I don't know if in Australia who Conan O'Brien is, but he's a talk show host. So anyway, he came and he gave us advice, and his advice was get in over your head. And 4 years later, or whatever it is, I still always think about that, because if you don't get in over your head, you're not going to get out of your comfort zone and do something remarkable. So get in over your head. And then the other thing is, the best day to start a business is today, because tomorrow, maybe you're single now, tomorrow you'll get in a relationship and you'll have more responsibilities. The day after that, or maybe you're in a relationship, but tomorrow you'll have babies, and then you'll have more responsibility. It'll be harder to start a company. Or maybe you have babies, but aging parents. There's always more responsibilities. So just do it now, because you'll never have less responsibility than today. And then also get off your rump and stop analyzing everything. Trust that if you have a good idea and you've thought about it enough, go do it. But don't sit there and analyze and make a bunch of spreadsheets. Test it, iterate, keep at it.
Yeah, I like that one. You can, like, especially with my role doing Facebook ads, like you can look at numbers all day, every day, and
Yep.
it will never stop, and you'll just get more and more confused. So, yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for coming on today. I really enjoyed this podcast. Just want to give a quick plug to your website, your socials, and where people can connect with you as well.
Yeah, thank you. So handwritten.com, and it's handwrytten.com. You can go there, request free samples. You can, check out, it's free to sign up and use the service. And then on the socials, LinkedIn is where we do most of our work. So just look for us on LinkedIn, as well as we're on Facebook and Instagram and all that. But LinkedIn is where the good stuff lies.
Awesome. I'll be sure to go check that out, especially for my e-commerce clients. I think I might have a few coming your way. So thanks so much for coming on today. I really enjoyed this, and it's completely different to anybody I've interviewed. So it's really fantastic stuff that you are doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey DTC Slingshot listeners, unfortunately today's episode has come to an end. If you did make it this far, I'm pretty sure you enjoyed the episode, so make sure to smash the like, follow, or even subscribe button. Any feedback or engagement really does help us grow. Now, if you do have any questions or insights that you would like to share, then message me on Instagram at LockieSocialSlingshot. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.